talk about pipeline security because former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has raised alarm over the 17.5 trillion naira spent by the government this past year to protect Nigeria's oil pipelines. He questions who benefits and how transparent the entire process is. Well, let's speak to an extractive industry expert, someone who understands these deals, what they mean, the pros and cons, as well as the cost-benefit analysis of the conversation we're about to have right now. Engineer Yabagi Sani will be here with us, is here with us right now to actually break down the issues and help us understand what is at play here. Engineer Yabagi Sani, thank you so much for joining us on the program. It's good to see you again this evening.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for stopping by.
Yeah.
Now, 2 cents on Atiku's claim.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people would say that he's trying to politicize everything as much as he can because of his interest in 2027. How much of it is about politics? How much of it really should Nigerians question why we're spending so much to guard these national assets?
Well, of course, in democracy, freedom of speech is guaranteed. Freedom of association is guaranteed. And those are the tenets of democracy. So, as a citizen of this country, you have the right to express, your views on every subject at all. And of course, issues surrounding the oil and gas sector is germane to our economic development, social development, political development, because, like oil and gas sector has backward and forward linkages with all the other sectors of the economy. Whatever happens there, it has a ripple effect, on other sectors of the economy. So any concerned citizen would obviously be interested in what is happening in that sector of the economy. So the former vice president is well positioned, given his status and the office he occupied before, and of course his aspiration to take a look, at whatever is happening in that sector. And of course, it's not only himself. I believe that 17.5 trillion, that was claimed.
Do you believe that number is true, actually?
It's true. It's in their books.
Right.
The
2024 financial
yes, it's there.
Annual report.
It's there. They reported it as 17.5 trillion. So, and then they again declared profit of 5.4. So you can imagine, so the issue.
The operational cost.
The operational cost. So the issue is that Atiku is definitely right to ask questions, because that number, like you said, for pipeline security is a number no responsible democracy can defend. It's difficult, to defend that kind of number, because even Saudi Arabia, that has about 45,000 kilometers of pipelines, did not spend anything close to that. Ours is just about 5,000 kilometers of pipelines we have in this country. So how could you spend that? Even when they broke it down in their books, about 7.3 trillion was allocated to I think the pipeline security, and then other one is the energy security something. So I think the figures alone is 60% of Nigerian entire national budget. That's 17. The entire national budget of this country that amount represents about 60% of what we spend as a nation. So it is bigger than the budget of defense, education, health, and infrastructure combined. Pipeline security, and yet all the things happening in that sector are still happening. Like crude oil theft is still happening. Although they don't
on the same scale.
Well, I mean, the fact is that when you have an opaque sector of the economy like oil and gas sector, how much information do you think comes to Nigerians? Very little. Very, very little, because even the arrangement between NNPC and the producers is so opaque. It's so structured in such a way that the least informed, partner in that arrangement is Nigeria. We don't get to know what is happening. So I think the question of justification of that amount is yet to be explained, to Nigerians. And I think, you see, the real issue is issue of transparency, in that sector. It's not just the number, but the secrecy, like I said, in that sector is what I think is the problem. Because even the books, there's no breakdown of how this money was spent, no reports on the contract itself, who bidded for that contract, National Assembly, did they budget for it? Was there any advertisement? 17.5 trillion, you cannot spend that according to our laws without it being subjected to due process.
We could go back to the Buhari administration back in August of 2022 when the pipeline surveillance contract was awarded by the NNPCL to Tantita Security Services Nigeria Limited, valued at 48 billion naira per year, which is around 4 billion naira per month, right? This was also investigated by the Senate Committee on Petroleum, which later backed the contract signed by Tantita. And we, of course, know that the Niger Delta militant leader, Government Tompolo, is running that. And for obvious reasons, the upside to this is the fact that no more pipeline vandalism. At least nothing significant has happened since the government went into this deal. So if you have to do a cost-benefit analysis, wouldn't you say that stability is worth the stress that we have to pay in naira and kobo?
17.5 trillion naira?
I mean, what is a fair price in your mind? If we've seen the numbers from 2022 is less than 50 billion.
Yeah.
Now the latest number in 2024 is showing 17. But
no. The only thing that government needs to come out clean on is the issue of subsidy. Because part of it they say that is what the government is owing. I mean, the federation is owing NNPC, isn't it? And which means subsidy is still eating deep into the revenue accruable to this country. So we are not yet out of the subsidy imbroglio. So I think, but there's no, you see, if there's no, why didn't they come out clean in their books? Why didn't they break it down? That this is exactly how much is allocated, this is the contract price, this is the person that won the contract, these are people that bid for this contract. So the issue is transparency. This is not private money, isn't it? It's Nigerian money. You can't burn 7.5 trillion naira and then think that people will just, keep quiet and...
I mean, if the NNPCL puts it in the report, surely then they're not trying to hide it.
No, there are some ways you can put anything in your financial reports. There are mechanisms you can maneuver. There are ways that they do it. They maneuver their way through, and then today, okay, for instance, we want a forensic, probe of NNPCL. Let's because it's public funds. It's not anybody's money. It's not Tinubu's money. It's not Bayo Ajulari's money. It's not anybody in this country that's money. It's not my money. It's our money altogether. So we want to know. We are suspicious of this amount of money because, like I said, Saudi Arabia has about 45,000 kilometers of pipeline. They don't spend anything near this amount we are talking about. We cannot spend 60% of our revenue, of our budget, on one item, that is so obscured that nobody can point to. What
about the peculiarity of the situation? I mean, you talk about Saudi Arabia, one of the largest producers in the world, but they don't have to deal with the Niger Delta militancy, do they? Because that is not something that they have to contend with. How do you factor in the militancy problem, the oil bunkering that has been a part of operations in that region?
Yeah.
How do you factor it into this, and whether it makes sense as this being a necessary evil, that we have to spend our way out of the problem of militancy as impact on national assets?
Why are we still losing 200,000 barrels per day, more than 200,000 barrels per day to crude oil theft, if what you are saying is true? That the Tompolo's company and things like that, or what have you. But crude oil theft is still going on.
You're saying we're not getting value for money.
We are not getting value for money. And I tell you why we're not getting value for money. Because these contracts, these security things they're telling you, it's beside the point. That is not where the issue is. the issue of accountability and transparency is how do you bring about transparency and accountability in that sector? Is by you being able to measure accurately your export at the export terminals. The export terminals. How are those meters checked? Who's checking those meters? Who is checking the crude oil that is being loaded out of this country? Why is the system? Who is it reporting to? Who knows? Nobody knows. Nobody in NMPs or anywhere can tell you.
You're saying NITE's report is doing very little to give Nigerians some sort of account regarding the data, the money, and where everything flows?
NITE cannot do beyond, like I've told you. NITE conducts about 3 types of audits. They conduct what they call fiscal audit, process audit, financial audit. So all this one, fiscal audit and financial audit, depends on the process audit. Because if your process is not proper, it's not up to the standard, it's not measurable, it's something that is guesswork, what am I saying? If your metering infrastructure is not even reliable, so how do you get credible data that you use in your financial audit? How do you even get the fiscal data, that's the volumes, that you report in your fiscal volumes and your fiscal audit? So the issue is that they have refused, for so long to address the issue of metering. And what you cannot meter, you can't control, you can't monitor.
Right.
Okay. Even Ribado at one time, who is now the National Security Advisor, was asked by Jonathan, I remember, to go and investigate and find out how reliable are our meters. Of course, he came back and said there's no reliable measuring system in that sector of the economy. And until today, up to today, rather, the measuring systems are still not up to standard. Because why? Willfully, deliberately, they killed the department created by the Constitution, to check, to supervise, to ensure that you have meters. They killed that department. They never allow it to work. And it's in the constitutional provision. The Constitution has created it. The NMPC.
Which department are you referring to exactly?
Where's the Measures Department?
Right.
They are the ones that you have to take your meters to for them to verify and say, yes, this meets what the nation, will accept.
Okay.
So they are supposed to also periodically go to those sectors. They don't allow them to even visit the place.
Right.
So and then that's why when you are talking about Saudi Arabia, they don't deal with the problems we're having. They don't deal with the problems we're having because they are not as disorganized, as corrupt as we are. In our own case, from the top to the bottom, is corruption. In clear terms.
And you believe that explains the 17.5 trillion?
Of course, it's 17.5 billion trillion naira.
But how about the other side of the argument? Because this year, somewhere around July this year, you had stakeholders from the Niger Delta who called on the federal government to renew these contracts, especially the ones executed by Tantita Security Services Nigeria Limited, where one of the agitators for this said that since Tantita took over, Nigeria's daily crude output has risen by over 300,000 barrels, noting that referencing NMPCL figures from the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, the NUPRC. He also said there is no need to change a winning formula. Why do you disagree that, listen, there might be downsides, but there could also be a significant upside long term?
No. It's an indication of how poor, and how we have failed when it comes to governance in this country. In fact, it has nothing to do with even accounting. It's not a matter of accounting or what have you. Or it's the governance that is we have failed. Abysmal failure in the way this country is governed. Otherwise, how do you, a serious country, will not descend so low to now engage people that were attacking your systems, that were stealing from your system and all these things, and now you say that, okay, they're the one that protect your system. So you think, who is fooling who? Yes, that's a saying. That's a saying that, yes, if you put the thief in charge of your property, maybe you... But what about if the thief is the one that now is what the thief disclosed to you that you work with, which is what we are having.
These are legally binding contracts. Nobody is stealing from, at least...
In Nigeria, is there anything legally binding?
I mean, contracts are legal.
Where? Where? In which country? Where is there any enforcement? Who is enforcing who? What in this country? For God's sake, ask yourself. Who is enforcing what?
So you don't think there's any legality?
There's no legality when when the president will just wake up one night and then issue a contract of trillions of naira to whoever he likes. Where is the law you are talking about? Who is going to check who? Who is going to enforce what? You've left the whole background, the whole foundation of the law. You know, you've jettisoned that, and you are so which civil servant will put his neck on the something to be chopped? Who's going to query Mr. President? The contractors are Mr. President's people. So what are you going? Which question are you going to ask them?
Are you roping the president in because these contracts were awarded long before the Tinubu administration came on board?
No. I mean, who are they? We want to know who they are.
Yeah, but you're well aware that these contracts existed before.
Which one? The one
with Tantita, for instance.
Well. Today, the point I want you to understand is this: the Tantita, the whatever contracts that you think, you know, look at what happened in the other one, the contract that we almost lost. You know, we lost about some billions of dollars. The PNID and all these things. What does that tell you about Nigeria? You know, it tells you how unserious, how governance has failed in this country, and it's not Tinubu per se, as I'm talking about. You know, I just mentioned Tinubu because he's one, you know, who is the head of the government. But I'm talking about the totality of the industry itself. It's operated under some obscured, you know, pattern. Because look at even you talk about the NNPCL that you have today. How could they bring out that kind of report? You said you spent 17.5 trillion on pipeline. You made 5.4 trillion profit. Right. You know, from the operations, you know, of how much. So the question is, who has been paid 17.5 trillion? Who? Right. Who is this money went to who?
A lot of unanswered questions. I'm afraid we're going to have to anchor the conversation here. There's a lot to unpack regarding this particular report. Yeah. And I reckon that we need to take some time to further look at what the numbers are saying and try to make sense.
Not only Atiku, everybody is questioning that. Right. In a sane environment, NNPC would have come out to give the reports that, okay, even the notes and the people giving the contract, how the contract was awarded, and then what deliverables have they really achieved, you know, to show the nation that, yes, we are above board. Right, okay. But you never have that.
All right. Let's keep this, let's put a pin on the conversation tonight and circle back whenever time allows us to. Engineer Yabagi Sani, as always, a pleasure. Thank you so much for the analysis this evening.
Thanks a lot.
Right.
Thank you.
And that's a wrap on tonight's edition of the program. Thank you most kindly for joining us on Daily Politics. We'll be back tomorrow for our next edition, live at 8 p.m. Until next time, I'm Abdullahi Ahmed. For myself and the rest of the team, thank you for watching. I'll see you soon.